Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
Tonight, families of the Robb Elementary School shooting victims are in Austin. They are gearing up for a gun reform rally at our state's capital, and we have a preview.
They were living in horrendous conditions, what Bexar County deputies discovered when they found this pair of horses.
Also, a showdown in our nation's capital. People are gathering outside the Supreme Court tonight as justices are hours away from hearing arguments for and against President Biden's student loan forgiveness program, what it means for you. But first, we begin tonight with breaking news. We're hearing reports about a shooting on the east side.
Yeah, John Paul Brahmas is there now at the scene. This is at LaRoute and Channel View, not far from South Foster Road. JP, what have you learned so far?
Well, we just got done speaking to police just moments ago, and what we know is an 18-year-old and a 29-year-old are both in the hospital after being shot. The 18-year-old hit once. He's in critical condition. A 29-year-old, he was hit at least twice, but his condition is unknown at this time. Police tell us that those two victims and a third victim were parked in this cul-de-sac when somebody started shooting at them. They have not been able to find or get much of a description on the suspects. The third person in the car where the victims were shot in, he is still here. He's been handcuffed and put inside this police unit. They say that he has not given them much information as to what led up to it, but they do know that once they took fire, he got out of the driver's seat and started shooting back. We don't know how many rounds were fired. Police said a lot. So obviously lots of investigation to do. This entire cul-de-sac is completely taped off with crime scene tape, but it seems like this house with the open garage is where most of the police activity is taking place. We've seen detectives taking lots of pictures at that particular home. We're right in front of that driveway. Again, they're not getting much information from the one person who they don't know if is a suspect or a victim in this case. He took fire, but also fired back. Now, throughout the gunfire, I want to show you this homeowner's house. It's going to be hard to see from here, but a bullet hole went straight through the back of that white pickup, through the front windshield and into that person's home. He's obviously shaken up. Luckily, it doesn't seem like any other property was damaged besides that person's garage and truck and the victim's car. It doesn't seem like any residents were hit either. So right now, we got two people in the hospital, an 18-year-old and 29-year-old, one victim or possible suspect here in the car being detained, and no description of who was responsible for all this. So lots of questions to be answered. Steve, Stephania.
All right, John Paul, thank you. We also have more breaking news. It's a busy night. We're going to show you a picture from Sky 12 right there. That's over South General McMullen.
Yeah, you can see police have blocked off part of the road. It's the entire section of the road. We're working to get you more information about what's happening here. We know an ambulance is on the scene. We're continuing to monitor this situation.
And we're also following another traffic incident on I-37 near South Cross. That's where police have shut down portions of that highway. You can see people, looks like they're being told to get off the highway right there. So they're just kind of forming a single file there to leave. But obviously that side of the roadway, they're closed tonight. Right now, police say this is not threatening the public. And we're going to bring you more information as updates come into our newsroom.
Let's go to Austin now. Will their pleas be heard? Our state capitol will be filled with gun violence prevention advocates tomorrow, appealing to elected officials to make gun law changes.
This is coming just days after we marked 9 months since the Robb Elementary School shooting, where 19 children and 2 teachers were killed.
The 19's Lee Waldman joins us live in Austin. Lee, they are calling this a day of advocacy.
Steve, Stephania, the Coalition to Prevent Gun Violence is made up of several different organizations from across the country. They're coming together for a day of legislative advocacy, hoping to reach our elected leaders and get them to support changes to gun laws.
We have this stain on our state of Texas, which was just the horrors that occurred in Uvalde.
Molly Bursey says her child was in the 4th grade in New Braunfels when the shooting at Robb Elementary happened last May.
He got to go to 5th grade.
Bursey has been with Moms Demand Action, a group fighting against gun violence since 2016. Her role is to meet with elected leaders. Bursey says she's hopeful change could happen during this legislative session. Her group, along with others like Lives Robbed, a nonprofit started by 4 of the Robb victims' families, will rally at the state capitol Tuesday to fight for gun law changes, something Senator Roland Gutierrez has been doing for weeks now.
While there are many, many issues that are important to us all, nothing is as important as our children. And so we're asking this governor and everybody in this building to do something.
Their main asks raise the age to purchase an assault-style weapon and increase background checks.
Their counter argument is that these young men will always find another way to get it. Well, let's make it a little bit harder.
The rally will also include gun violence survivors like 10-year-old Caitlin Gonzalez. She lost her best friend Jackie Casares at Robb Elementary and was in a classroom across from the gunman.
Because we need to make our voice heard. Like why it's important to change gun laws.
I emailed Governor Greg Abbott's office for a statement on this rally sometime this afternoon. At this point, I still haven't gotten a response back. Now, this rally is going to happen at noon tomorrow at the Capitol on those south side steps. They're anticipating it to last about an hour before the group will split up and head into each and every one of the offices inside of the Capitol to meet with those representatives and senators one-on-one. We'll continue our coverage on air and online at KSAT.com. Live at the state capitol, Lee Waldman, KSAT 12 News.
See you tomorrow. Thank you, Lee. Well, new on the Nightbeat, San Antonio's largest school district, one step closer to having its new superintendent. The Board of Trustees for the Northside ISD has named Dr. John Kraft as the lone finalist for the position. Kraft, who is the current superintendent of Killeen ISD, will replace Dr. Brian Woods. Woods announced his retirement at the end of the school year. Kraft has a long resume and has spent time as a teacher, a principal, a superintendent, and a football and baseball coach with other school districts. He says he's ready to begin his new role at NISD.
ISD has a rich tradition of excellence, and so I'm going to hit the ground running and meeting individuals and just learning about this wonderful organization.
The district announced the Board of Trustees will formally vote on Kraft and his new position after the state mandated 21-day waiting period.
So these are older students here. The battle over student loan forgiveness is going to take center stage tomorrow at the U.S. Supreme Court. The justices are going to hear arguments on the Biden administration's plan to erase a chunk of student loan debt. Now, his plan could erase up to $20,000 in federal loans for nearly 43 million qualifying borrowers. Now, there are two separate challenges to the plan. On one side, 6 states filed a lawsuit saying the debt relief would cause them financial harm. Those states are Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and South Carolina. And then a second lawsuit came from 2 students. They're not against the plan per se. They're just upset they wouldn't qualify. Now, that $20,000 amount is limited to students who receive Pell Grants, and that's money that usually goes to students from low-income families. Individuals who make less than $125,000 or married couples making less than $250,000 a year would qualify for up to $10,000 in relief. The White House says that 26 million people applied for loan forgiveness through that program. Now, according to Politico, that includes nearly 164,000 people in the San Antonio area. And remember how the president paused those loan repayments for borrowers? Well, it's been that way for about 3 years. Now the White House says that people are going to start repaying the loan 60 days after the Supreme Court makes its decision, or 60 days after June 30th, whichever comes first.
4 teenage boys facing charges after leading Bexar County deputies on a chase. It began about 2 o'clock this afternoon in a West Side neighborhood near Riverdale Road in Roanoke. According to BCSO, a deputy ran a plate for a Kia. It came back stolen, and that's when the chase began. At some point, all of those suspects jumped out of the car and took off on foot. Sheriff Javier Salazar says one of them fired a gun at deputies during that chase. 3 caught quickly. One of them later found in a shed behind a home on Riverdale Drive. BCSO says all of those suspects were armed and between the ages of 14 and 16. No one was hurt during the chase.
A pair of horses recovering tonight after they were found in horrendous living conditions. Let's show you what we're talking about. Yeah, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office received a tip about those horses last Wednesday on a road called Silver Trail. That's on the southwest side of the county near Von Ormy. When deputies saw them, the horses were extremely thin. Look at that. You could see it. They found their water bucket was covered in algae, and it appeared that those horses had been eating the bark off of the trees because they didn't have access to food. As for right now, the horses are in a rescue sanctuary.
Well, the problem isn't new, but tonight growing concerns about loose animals in San Antonio. The issue highlighted during Friday's deadly dog attack on an 81-year-old man. Animal Care Services says the dogs that killed Ramon Nahara were euthanized over the weekend. Of the more than 87,000 calls ACS reported last budget year, it says the majority were for animals on the loose. An ACS spokeswoman says the dogs they come across often have owners. They're just loose. We asked ACS about the city's notorious stray dog problem. Right now on KSAT.com, we want to know what questions you want answered. Head to our website and look for this page to submit your questions, along with any solutions that you think the city of San Antonio should try.
Another news tonight, Congressman Castro recovering after a successful surgery. He left MD Anderson in Houston today after having an operation to remove malignant tumors from his small intestine. Now, Castro released a statement earlier today saying, quote, "My prognosis is good. I expect to be home recovering in Texas for several weeks before returning to Washington to continue my work on behalf of the people of my hometown, San Antonio," end quote. There was a final goodbye tonight to a San Antonio legend. Thousands of people filled the Tobin Center today to pay their respects to Red McCombs.
His name will live on in the city and the state he loved. But as the night team's John Paul Barajas explains, there's much more to Red McCombs' legacy.
Can't find the right words to express really the gratefulness that I feel for Mr. McCombs.
Words may be hard to come by, but Mi Tierra General Manager Gerardo Carvajal says there's no doubt Red McCombs played a role in the restaurant's success.
He showed how to do business, and the rest is history. We started with 3 tables, $150. Now we have close to 1,000 seats.
McCombs' guidance for Mi Tierra's owners is just part of his long history with San Antonio. His business endeavors to his philanthropy work, living by his motto, driven to serve, helping create the city we know today.
He did a lot for us here, but he did a lot for the city. Without him, probably wouldn't have a Spurs in town.
Mi Tierra is honoring McCombs' memory with an altar. It's right next to another one for famed artist Jesse Trevino. Both were regulars at the restaurant. On the day of McCombs' funeral, Carvajal recalls his visits.
Very down to earth. He says hello to everyone in front of him, and he'll come in, sit in the middle of the dining room with a lot of people around him. He didn't want to have private rooms. Wonderful person. Another great man.
John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
Now for a look at some of today's big headlines in your Nightbeat News Flash. A former Seguin High School graduate convicted for shooting and killing a Texas Tech University police officer is going to spend the rest of his life in jail. 24-year-old Hollis Daniels was sentenced in the 2017 murder of police officer Floyd East. Then 19 years old, university officials arrested him for possessing a controlled substance, and then Daniels shot Officer East in the head. He ran off. Police eventually arrested him. He's not going to be eligible for parole. A motorcyclist in the hospital for several broken bones after his bike crashed into a car last night on Blanco Road near 1604. Now, police are still trying to figure out what led up to that crash, but say the motorcyclist was thrown from the bike. No charges are expected against either driver. And that's a look at your Nightbeat News Flash.
For a generation, it's been a little bit of an underwhelming experience for a lot of folks. This is the 7th largest city in the United States, and San Antonio deserves a world-class airport, and that's what this development plan is all about.
All right, our airport about to get a facelift. The FAA said yes to a grant for the renovations. After the break, we're going to tell you about the changes coming to San Antonio International.
Some big upgrades coming to San Antonio International Airport, a whole new terminal. This after city leaders announced today after the FAA approved a multi-million-dollar grant for the facility.
Let's get to those details because that grant is worth $20 million. It's going to go into the airport's terminal development program, which is going to pay to expand the facility so there's more room in the gates. This is coming after Mayor Ron Nirenberg and other city leaders traveled to D.C. to ask for more airport funding.
Yeah, the new facility will be placed south of Terminal A. Construction expected to begin in 2024 with a scheduled completion date of March 2025.
Hoping for more restaurants at the gate. Just saying.
Okay. By the way, this is San Pedro Creek. Beautiful, beautiful section of San Antonio downtown. If you have not walked along San Pedro Creek, I highly recommend it. Very cool.
Especially when it's decent weather, too. 66 degrees and not too bad tomorrow, right?
No, I mean, the humidity was low today. That was
Yes.
nice. And tomorrow, there will be a slight influx in humidity, especially tomorrow evening. But temperatures are going to be very similar. You're not going to need a jacket, let's put it that way, for the next several days. Tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, well into the 80s for afternoon highs. Notice things change by Friday. That's with a cold front that hits, and a cold front you're going to notice in more ways than one. I wish I could say it was in terms of rainfall, but take a look at our rain chance. It's only about 10%, and that's Thursday evening and Thursday night. Slightly better odds in some of our eastern counties. That's you, Lavaca County, DeWitt County, even possibly Gonzales County and Goliad counties. Here's the big picture right now. Quiet across the Lone Star State. We still have that action that's leaving the Great Lakes, headed into the eastern seaboard, New England, mid-Atlantic as well. Some snow shown in blue there on the cold side of it. But we're watching this upper level swirl here coming into the Pacific Northwest, Washington State, Oregon, even California. Widespread precipitation, some decent moisture with that. That's continuing to spread eastward, and it's going to bring some heavy snowfall to the mountains. I mean, this has been a good winter for the ski resorts, and we're just going to add to it here the next couple of days. This low will be dropping south and even bringing some snow to Arizona and New Mexico. As for us around here, most of the moisture is going to be northeast, parts of East Texas, then up into Oklahoma, Arkansas, and even Missouri. Unfortunately, I just don't think there's very good odds of us seeing much in terms of rain around here. Just another one of those situations where a little too far south to get hit by it. That has been the trend for several weeks. However, you will notice some very gusty winds along and behind that front. This is Thursday, so we're fast forwarding to Thursday, starting around 6 p.m. We could easily have some wind gusts around 50 miles per hour. That is definitely within the realm of possibility here. So one of our windier cold fronts to move in, and it will be affecting temperatures, of course. 87, that was our high temperature today, a good 17 degrees above average. Right now, 56 Hondo. 58 New Braunfels, 65 in Pleasanton. Cotulla still at 70 after a high of 91 today. Helotes now at 59. Tomorrow morning, we start the day in the low to mid 50s, 54 around San Antonio, even some upper 40s in the hill country. But by noon, we're up to 80 degrees, a lot of sunshine, and by the afternoon, a high temperature of 87. And notice that I put turning humid here tomorrow evening. That's a result of added moisture, and that'll lead to some areas of fog by Wednesday morning, and we'll do that again Thursday morning. But tomorrow, feeling spring-like again. Upper 80s, right around 90 degrees. Seguin 86, Hondo 90 the high temperature. There are those foggy mornings Wednesday and Thursday. Wind comes in Thursday evening and Thursday night. Mornings back down into the 40s by Friday through the upcoming weekend. In turn, it will be a quick return to some jacket weather Friday into this upcoming weekend. For the mornings, that is.
Just keep them handy. Thank you, Adam.
All right, usually when you're totally rebuilding your lineup, you don't expect to make the state championship game.
And it says a lot about the Clark Cougars. Exactly, semifinals. Says a lot about the Clark Cougars because they replaced a lot of seniors from last year's squad, and they are back in the state semifinals, and the girls are feeling good about themselves, and they have a legitimate shot to win it all for sure. And the Wagner girls, you know what? They've advanced to state as well, thanks in large part to their awesome guard duo coming up. Riding a 24-game winning streak, the Clark Cougars will now take their show to the Alamo Dome for the Class 6A state basketball tournament later this week. Clark is 32-3 overall and the top 6A team in the state at the end of the regular season. Starters Ramsey Robledo, Natalie Huff, and Ariana Robertson returned from a team that advanced to last year's 6A state semifinals. Add in Cameron Griffin and Caitlin Whitlock, and Clark has to feel really good about their chances. Today we stopped by practice and asked how's the team feeling heading into state for the second year in a row.
All over the place. I know all of us are really excited, but there's still those little nerves for what's coming up for this week.
It's really special to come back, especially 2 years in a row. Having it being San Antonio again, having our fans behind us is really important to us.
With their experience from last year, I think that certainly helped. We have 7 players returning from the state team last year. 7 of those being seniors also. So I think that certainly will help them. I don't think distractions will be a big deal for us this go round.
In Class 5A hoops, Wagner is also very hard at work preparing for the state tournament. The Lady T-Birds finished the regular season 3rd in the state rankings for the Texas Association of Basketball Coaches. They are riding a 19-game winning streak and are led by 2 of the area's best guards in senior Savani Sancho and sophomore L.A. Sneed. A fantastic 1-2 punch for sure. This morning in practice, the 2 talked about how important they are to each other's success.
It's very big. I feel that it helps a lot just for me to be able to create, to get to the basket, or to get to my pull-ups, just to get to anywhere I want to, because I know that a lot of people are going to focus on Savani on the outside.
I feel like LA is one of the best guards in the state. Like right now, she could do anything. She'll get a teammate open anytime. She's able to get to the basket easily, and she can knock down the 3.
The Wagner girls will play first at the Alamo Dome and will face Frisco Liberty in the state semifinals Thursday night at 7. Next in Class 4A, 35-1 Bernie will hoop with Sunnyvale in the state semifinals Friday afternoon at 3. Now we plan to cover Bernie's practice tomorrow morning, so we'll have that for you at 5 o'clock. And in Class 6A, Clark will face Capel Friday night at 7. All state championship games will be held on Saturday. With a conference three-peat in hand, Trinity women's basketball team is gearing up for another deep run in the NCAA tournament. Last season, they advanced to the D3 quarterfinals where they lost to Amherst. Yesterday, they beat Colorado College 64-54 to win the Southern Collegiate Athletic Conference Championship. Trinity is the only SCAC team to qualify for the women's NCAA tournament, and they avenged their only loss of the season against Colorado College in the title game. They likely would have made the tournament even without the conference championship. So, did that change how they approached the game?
I didn't tell the team, but I knew that we had gotten in already. But I just wanted to let them go today. I wanted to let them go out there and earn this SCAC championship because they really they belong where they are, and they do it every single day in practice. And you know, for me, this is a one-team league in terms of the NCAA tournament, and I'm really glad that team is us.
Trinity University will host 2 NCAA D3 tournament games in the SA Regional. Hardin-Simmons and Redlands will play Friday at 5:30 p.m., followed by Trinity and UT Dallas at 8 p.m. The winners of those 2 will meet up Saturday night at 8 in the regional final. UTSA junior forward Jordan Jenkins was named the Conference USA Player of the Week for the 4th time this season. She scored a career-high 40 points and broke the Roadrunners record for points in a single season to help her earn the weekly honor. She led the Roadrunners to a 3-0 record last week, leading the team in scoring in every single game. Winners of a season-high 3 straight now, the Roadrunners will close out the regular season at the defending champion Charlotte 49ers Thursday at 5 p.m. And after that is the Conference USA tournament starting March the 8th. Is Hines Ward pleased with quarterback Jack Cohn? After the break.
Pro football coverage powered by Davis Law Firm.
Led by quarterback Jack Cohn, the San Antonio Brahmas won at the Orlando Guardians yesterday 30-12. Cohn went 16-24 for 165 yards, 3 touchdown passes and no interceptions. He also tied for a team-high 23 yards on the ground. In the Brahmas' Week 1 loss, he threw a touchdown pass and he was picked off once. Yesterday, Coach Ward was asked if he's happy with how Cohn is coming along.
Yes. You know, Jack, he's learning himself, man. You know, it's not like Jack is a seasoned vet that's been down here. I mean, you gotta, you know, be patient with him. Eventually, the game has started to slow down, and I think the more each and every day he's getting valuable reps, he's starting to feel more comfortable with the offense. And as our job as a coaching staff is to put things that he's comfortable with so he can go out there and succeed. So I look for Jack just continuing to improve.
Brahmas will play at the Houston Roughnecks Sunday night at 7. Houston is 2-0 and led by son of a bum.
Wade.
Yes.
Take him down. Thanks, Larry.
We'll be right back.
Tomorrow morning, low to mid-50s across our area by the afternoon. Back up well into the 80s, even into the 90s as you get near the Rio Grande. Carrizo Springs, 93. Cotulla topping out at 94. It all cools off by Friday.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for keeping us company. Have a great night.
See you tomorrow.